Hello, this video is all about partial fractions, and this is where you want to take a fraction like this and split it up into separate fractions like this. Now, in the past, you're probably more used to going the other way. You're probably more used to going from something like this, separate fractions, getting a common denominator, and going back to the original question where it's just one big fraction. But for partial fractions, we want to go the other way. And the reason for doing this is because it makes it easier to integrate and differentiate the fraction we've got in the question. So how do we find what a and b are? That's what you have to do in this question, really. And there's lots of different ways to do that. If we just write the question out again, but we put it equal to what's in the box there. So we've got this equals this. Now, if we multiply both sides by the denominator over here, if we multiply both sides by this, then we will get x minus 9 on the left, and we'll have a times by x plus 1, 2x minus 3. Still got this on the bottom, and we've got b, x plus 1, 2x minus 3, all over 2x minus 3. So you can see that this will cancel with this, and this will cancel with this. Now you can, when you're doing questions like this, you can go straight into this step here. So you don't really need this bit here, so I'll put it in a bracket. But it explains where this line comes from. So we've got this now. And remember, all we want to do is work out what a and b are. Now, there's lots of different ways of doing that. I think the quickest way to find a is just to, if you just substitute in to the equation, you can substitute whatever you like into this equation, as long as you do the same for every value of x. So if we sub in x equals minus 1, the useful thing about putting minus 1 in is we'll have minus 1 plus 1 here, which makes this bracket all 0. And so all of this will disappear. So that's why we're doing x equals minus 1. So on the left hand side, when we put minus 1 in, we'll have minus 1 minus 9, which is obviously going to give us minus 10. So we'll have minus 10 equals a times by 2 times minus 1 minus 3. And then remember that this equals 0 when x is minus 1. So we've got this now, we've got minus 10 equals minus 5a. So then you can see that a is plus 2. The next thing we've got to do is work out what b is. So we found out what a is. To find b, you want to make this, well, there's lots of ways of doing it. One way is to make this bracket equal 0 over here. So if you want the bracket here with a to equal 0, you're going to want 2x minus 3 to equal 0. In other words, you're going to want 2x to equal 3. You want x to equal 3 over 2. Okay, so if we sub in x equals 3 over 2 now, the left hand side will be 3 over 2 minus 9. The right hand side will, well, this will equal 0. That was the whole point of letting x equal 3 over 2. So then we've got b times by 3 over 2 plus 1. The left hand side there is going to give us minus 15 over 2. The right hand side is going to be 5 over 2b, You can multiply both sides by 2, so you get minus 15 equals 5b. So you can see that b is minus 3. Now the question, if we look back at the question, there were no a's and b's in the original question. It just said to split this into partial fractions. So our final answer shouldn't really have any a's and b's in it. But you do need to make sure you put the value of a over x plus 1, and you put the value of b over 2x minus 3. You've got to get them the right way around. So the final answer to this question is, I'll do it down here. The final answer is our a was 2. So we've got 2 over x plus 1. And then b was minus 3, so we can write it like this. 2x minus 3 is the final answer. The good thing about partial fractions is you can always check. You could check by getting a common denominator here. And if you get a common denominator, you should end up with what we started with in the original question. Just want to explain another way of getting of finding b. So we know that b equals minus 3. But another way of doing that, which often you have to do with partial fractions, is to equate coefficients. So I'll just explain how you could have found b a different way. You see, now we know that a equals 2. We could have just done x minus 9 equals 2, 2x minus 3 plus b x plus 1. And multiply out the brackets, we get 4x minus 6 plus bx plus b still equals x minus 9. So if we simplify this a little bit better, we've got 4 plus b equals times by x, just factorising the x's. And if we factorise the constants as well, actually we'll just leave the constants as b minus 6. So if we leave it like that, another way of finding b is to equate the constants. So there's a 1 here. So all the coefficients of x must be equal. So that means that 1 must equal 4 plus b. So that would give us b equals minus 3, which we already know is the value of b. Or another way still is we could have equated the constants here, and that would be minus 9. So we could have done minus 9 equals b minus 6. And if we add 6 to both sides, that will also give us b minus 3. So there's lots and lots of different ways of doing these questions. Pick which way you like best, really.